Hello again and welcome to episode number 6 in A Year Gardening, following my exploits in my garden through 12 months of the year 2020. Today I'm going to run through putting up some decoration in the garden. I'll show you the update on the installation of the water butt in the utility garden, and also I've got some new plants to show you that have arrived from Thompson & Morgan's, and I've got some more seeds to put in, so quite a lot to get through. I'm going to start today with the decoration. I have purchased a cartwheel which I'm going to be fixing on this rather plain wall behind me. So what I've done is I've actually prefixed some brackets on here, and I'm going to offer this up on the wall, mark this out, remove these brackets, fix the brackets to the wall, and then refix them to the wheel. So I better crack on with that now. Well, that's the wheel put up on the wall, and later on I'll be adding a couple of pots to maybe put some ivies in or something like that to really make a feature of that, what was a plain wall and is now going to look quite nice. I did say I've got a delivery of some new plants, so I've just opened the top of the box, and it's a bit like Christmas when you get some new plants. I love it every time, and I have ordered a collection of Pieris plants. Now, fortunately, Thompson & Morgan's have labelled every pot. Now, I'm going to just be taking the plastic protection off of these pots so that I can give them just a little bit of water and keep them going in the greenhouse for a while, because unfortunately the ground outside is a little bit too damp to be planting in at the moment, and I'll just be making a mess. So look at that, we have 5 Pieris shrubs. Now, over the course of 5 to 10 years, these will grow in a range of from 1.5 metres tall to 4 metres tall, so there's quite a range of plants here. And the summer colour and the early spring colour, because the leaves come through reds and oranges and then turn green. Beautiful, delicate flowers, and I'm really looking forward to getting these out in the garden. So I'm going to get on with stripping the plastic off of these and getting them onto the racking, and in order to keep them well watered for the next week or so before we can actually plant them out. Well, here we are, as promised, with the water butt. I've drilled the hole in the top and in the back. It was quite a job, but what we've now got is we've got a down pipe, which is obviously far too long. So I want that just to be dropping slightly inside the top, so I'm going to be taking a fair bit off of the pipe. So I'm now going to cut that and see if we can fit this and get it all in position. Well, that's the pipe cut. Now is the time to fit it all up. So let's just grab a screw and see how it goes. Got to fix this in nicely, so let's just stand that all up there. Pop the pipe in at the top. Pop the clip round there. And feed the first screw in there, that's nicely. I've got my other clip just here, and I've already put a batten on the wall to receive this. So we clip that on here. Pop the screw in there. And one more to go in on the other side. And that's now nicely in position. What I've now got to do, because I had to cut the hole halfway in the lid and halfway in the back because of the size of it, and I don't want this to be blowing away, so I pre-drilled a small hole here, and I'm just going to put a small screw just through the front here, which will stop the lid blowing away if we get a strong wind. And there's one water butt all ready to go. Hello again, and this morning I've come down to the greenhouse. It's been about 3 days since these small Pieris shrubs were delivered. I've had them soaking for the last couple of hours now because I'm going to repot them. And a very important thing if you're going to be potting on any sort of plant is to make sure that your soil, compost, whatever you have in there is nice and damp first of all. So what I tend to do when I'm potting into a larger pot is give my pot a reasonable fill of compost, get my hand down inside to make the large opening, then pop the existing pot inside. So I just want to have a good level of compost around here so that I can just firm it down slightly, and that will leave the indentation from the previous plant pot here. So we just press that down there, so we can then take this pot out, and that leaves the shape of the pot that we're going to be transplanting inside there, so that's going to fit absolutely perfectly. All we'll now do is we'll gently remove this plant there. That's got quite a busy little root system on there, and then we'll just pop that down inside here, firm that down so it blends in with its new compost, and we'll get some water on there, give it a nice drink. Let that soak through. Whilst I'm doing that, I need to take the name of this plant, because as you remember I've got 5 of these and they grow in different heights from 1.5 meters to 4 meters. I need to know which one is which for when I plant them out. Don't want to be getting the wrong ones at the front and the back of the border. So this one is Pieris Forest Flame. And we can get rid of that pot there, label that in there, and then we can put this straight over onto the frame, and we're going to do that with all 5 of those plants. I've already transplanted a couple of other plants that I bought at the garden centre. So I've got a skimmia and I've got another hellebore. I'm afraid I just cannot resist those hellebores, but I'm now going to crack on, get the rest of these Pieris transplanted, and then we're going to be planting some seeds, some more seeds even. Well, that's all the Pieris into their new pots. And just before I get on with the next lot of seed planting, I wanted to answer a couple of questions that you have set to me this time. Firstly, I've been asked who my gardening inspiration was, and do I have a favourite gardener at the moment. So my inspiration for gardening came from my granddad, and he had a lovely garden down in Hangleton just outside Brighton, and I suppose the one person who was a constant for gardening to me was Jeff Hamilton, the presenter, and again planted a load of ideas in my mind that I've only been able to start to put into practice in these last couple of years. First time I've actually had a garden big enough to actually do that. So I hope that answers your question on the inspiration side of things. Do I have a favourite current gardener? Well, yes, my out and out favourite is Carol Klein. Passionate, informative, so excited, loves getting her hands dirty and shares her knowledge superbly. and that passion and excitement for gardening really has rubbed off on me. I also like to watch Christine Walton on the television, and I find her again such a buzz about the plants and about what she's doing. It is fantastically exciting. And for just consistency, the king of Longmeadow, Monty Don. I have to watch Gardener's World every week, sometimes 2 or 3 times in the same week, just to go over and over in my mind to catch up on what's happening. Jobs for the weekend, got to be done. But my out and out favourite gardener will sit with Carol Klein. Hope that answers your questions. Now, another question that I've been asked, and this is why having your notebook in the garden is so handy, and taking it out with you as well. What seeds can be sown in February? I would say this is only under glass or in a propagator on a windowsill or something like that. And it's not an exhaustive list, but these are what I've been planting and what I will be planting over the next week or so. So food-wise, asparagus, basil, beans, beetroot, celeriac, chard, courgettes and cucumbers, lettuce, radish, tomatoes and turnips. And on the flower side of things, again, not exhaustive, but these are ones that I've either planted or am planting. Achilles, marigolds, lobelia, sweet peas, cosmea, rudbeckia, nasturtiums, felicias, Livingston daisy, hibiscus, dahlias, and I know there's some I've missed off that list. So there's a lot that we can actually be out planting and starting to grow for the season ahead, even when the weather isn't that nice outside. So I hope that's of some help to you. Now I'm going to crack on and plant some more seeds after I finish my cup of tea. Right, now I'm going to be planting some celeriac seeds. I've got a cell system seed tray here, and I'm going to be planting as thinly as I possibly can. They are, again, a very, very small seed. I really want to try and get just 1 or 2 to each cell, because then I can just pop these cells on later. So let's just see. Very, very small seeds. And I'm just going to pop, if I can, 1, 2 into each cell. Some of these are getting quite a few. They are going in nicely. There we go. Now, with this sort of seed, they're very, very small seeds. We don't need a load of compost over the top of them. Just really a very thin dusting. So we're just going to cover the seed, really. No more than that. Just pop a little bit into each cell. We're looking probably at around about 1/4 of an inch, no more than that. Couple of millimeters. And we will have some lovely celeriac to plant out later in the year. One of my favourite vegetables to have. You can just use it raw on your salads. You can use it as a frying vegetable if you like. You can make chips to have celeriac chips, really nice and aromatic flavour to them. And of course there's nothing better than any vegetable that comes out of your garden. Nice and fresh. That's what we aim to have this year, with a wide variety of vegetables and some fruit. Just a little bit more to complete this tray. Then all I'm going to do is just wet that down on the top. Now the compost that was in the tray had already been watered, so that should just bed those seeds in nicely. And all I need to do now is just, as always, mark up what we have got in there, and that is celeriac. And that will go over onto the frame as well. And now the next thing on my list today will be to plant some passion flower seeds. Now, these can grow up to 4 meters. They're a climber, beautiful flowers on them. If you're familiar with the passion flower, there she is. Really, really beautiful plant. Now these will be planting for flower, not this year, but the year after. Now these are a much larger seed and easier to work with. Don't want to get any stuck in there, so I'll just tip that out, a few in there, spread that a little bit. So I'm going to plant these in a tray, and I'm just going to sprinkle them very finely around the tray. And if I can get 10 good plants out of this, I'll be very, very happy. I'd say there's around about 35 seeds here, so we should get a nice variety, nice choice. If I can get these growing up the fence with the clematis and the honeysuckle that we visited when we repaired the trellis in the last episode, I'm sure it will look absolutely beautiful. And again, we don't want a lot of soil going over here. Just thin that a little bit, make sure there's no large lumps in there. And then I'll just finally shed this over the top by rubbing the soil between my hands. And again, we're only putting the thickness of a seed over the top of the seeds. It's not going to be something you need to be burying deep into your soil. And then when I water this in, the seeds will just drop down a little bit further into the ground. And we will then be transplanting these on into larger pots later on in the year, probably into a 3-inch pot first of all, then into maybe a 9-inch pot, and then plant them outside when we get to the autumn. So that's all nice and wet there, and we just grab ourselves a label to mark up those as passion flower. I do love the flowers of passion flower. Lovely whites and purples, bits of yellow. It's just such a stunningly beautiful flower. I'm going to pop these onto the rack now. Well, the final seed that I'm going to be planting out today are cucumber seeds. I've got a small collection here, and these I will plant out as individually as I can into a seed tray. Again, these are going to be potted on later on. I'm going to plant them a couple of inches apart onto the surface. And hopefully there's some nice cucumbers from these. So don't need to put a great number in, because as you will know, cucumbers are quite prolific, and once they start producing their fruits, I think I had about 7 plants last year, which gave me around about 7 or 8 cucumbers from each plant. So there was a lot of cucumber going around our house. So nice and thin. Again, we're only putting a couple of millimeters of compost over each seed. Just give them enough to hide into. We'll just water that down. And we will label that. It's just a standard salad cucumber. now we're starting to get, even though it's windy, slightly warmer days, we are going to start getting more germination. Whilst I'm actually over here, I'll just pop out the plugs here. And these are the peas that we planted just a couple of weeks ago. And if I just grab one of the plugs out, you can see the taproot coming down on here. This is a long root on there, and there's my pea growing inside. So we'll pop that gently back inside there. And we've got around about 15 plants growing in there, so you're going to get some nice pea shoots over the next few days. One other thing I want to share with you, I'm just going to grab hold of the camera. I want to show you. I thought I'd just show you these few plants here. So what we've got just here, these are hellebore seedlings that I've grown from seeds of the plants in the garden. These are this last year's seedlings, and they'll be going out into the hellebore garden later this year. In here, these are cuttings that I took from our hydrangea, and they seem to be coming along quite nicely, so we should have some new hydrangea plants to pot on in a month or so's time. And then we've got some euonymus here, and they're rooting away quite nicely, and they just broke off when I was doing some gardening, so I thought I'd put them in a pot, and they have grown on nicely. So that, you know, these plants are just growing for nothing really, which is rather nice. I did want to show you these. These are my new strawberries, which I have taken from the runners of the old plants last year. And so we've got quite a nice group of 15 plants there, and they should be going out into the fruit bed. I'll wait till the last frost has gone, so we'll probably be looking at mid-May to get those outside. Well, what a fantastic episode this has been. Taken delivery of my new Pieris plants and potted them on. We've had a look at some of the things that I've got growing. We've planted a load more seeds. I can't believe that if everything that I've got in the greenhouse at the moment grows, I'll have over 1,000 plants in here. And we're only just starting, because now is the time for preparing all of our plants and growing our plants for what promises to be a really, really, really cracking summer. And so we can get those outside in a month or so's time and really start growing well. Didn't get to show you the blue irises. They are really doing well. They are a good 100 millimeters high now, and they'll be ready to plant out very, very soon. The rhubarb is absolutely looking fantastic, and that'll be planted out now, I think, in a week or 10 days. I was going to do some soil preparation work outside, but it's far too windy, and I don't really want to be throwing bloodfish and bone powder around in this sort of windy conditions. It just won't get onto the ground, and it probably wouldn't do me any good either. But hopefully we'll be able to get out there next time, get some conditioning of the ground done, ready to be planting out our beans, our potatoes, and they're going to be going in the ground very, very soon. So it just leaves me to say a big thank you to you all for joining me. And whilst I'm saying thank you, can I just say a big hello to Mims's Garden in the United States of America. Lovely to have you as a subscriber. Thank you very much for joining us. And the gentleman from Israel who sent me the lovely email. I'm afraid I can't pronounce your name, and I'm not going to try and get it wrong. But thank you for being with me, and I do really, really appreciate every comment that I get. Just leaves me to say a goodbye for today and end episode 6 with a rather nice glass of Cabernet Sauvignon. Wishing you all well. Cheers. Oh.